So our next Retirees at Play project will be to work on the refrigerator in our 2002 Holiday Rambler Endeavor RV. The old 22-year-old gas absorption RV refrigerator, two-way, runs off of a 110 AC or propane. Finally gave up on us. First, we lost the electric, and then we lost the propane. I could smell the ammonia. I knew we had an ammonia leak somewhere in that, and it finally quit. So we had some choices, and they were all expensive for the most part to try to retrofit it with something. But it looked like the best deal I could see was to use the 12-volt conversion kit from JC Refrigeration and Dutch Air. They're out of Indiana, and there's our do-it-yourself manual that came with it. And yeah, I got delivery of this thing just the other day. I got some footage of the truck dropping it off. So I've watched a few of the videos and I've read through the instructions, and it does look like there's a little bit of work to do here, and we're going to have to work our way through some of the obstacles that might lie ahead. But I'll walk you on inside the RV now, and you'll see what we're up against here. So what we have is a Norcold 1200 LRIM. The RIM, the IM part is the ice maker part. We're going to use this opportunity to get rid of all that. We haven't used the ice maker in years anyway, so it'll free up some more space for us. I've already started taking the drawers out. I'm contemplating taking the doors off as a way to maybe make things just a little bit easier to manage and a little lighter and more to grab onto when we pull this unit out of the wall. One of my concerns, of course, is going to be we don't have a lot of room between the refrigerator and this wall right here. So it's going to be just enough space to come out, down, and then over to our work spot, which will be here on this floor. This was our quick fix. We went and got a dorm type refrigerator. We were getting ready to go on a trip, of course, when the refrigerator ceased to work on us. So rather than not be able to continue our trip, we did a temporary fix here with a Sam's Club purchase. And this got us through, but it's got its drawbacks as well. So it wouldn't work as a long-term solution. So it was either to put a residential refrig in here, which meant changing a bunch of wiring and battery capability and the inverter capability. Plus the box, we've got the, oops, almost dropped the phone. We've got the furnace for the RV is under the refrigerator. So that space down low has got to stay where it is. So we don't have a lot of room between the ceiling and the floor where the furnace is. So it would have to be something that would fit right back in that spot. To get an exact replacement for it, they're like $5,000 just for the refrigerator, and then removing the old one, getting the new one in, and I don't know. It seemed like a lot of money for a refrigerator that's sort of old school. So we have nothing wrong with the box itself. Seals are still good. And it really is the backside, you know, and this is an opportunity, like I said, where we can switch over to 12 volt. And that should do us fine for the kind of camping we do. We do some off-grid, but not a whole lot of it. I don't have solar yet, but I could add solar. I did refresh the battery tray before starting the project. The batteries were older. They were 6-year-old golf cart batteries. And I went ahead and took the opportunity to replace the 4 of them with 4 brand new deep cell 6-volt batteries that are in parallel. So they're putting out 12 volts. And then, yeah, we're going to have to get in here behind the refrigerator and take that off, and I'll show you what's going on in there. And we're going to be removing most of those guts as part of this project. So undo the screws. Out comes the door. And this is what we'll be working on for the next day or two. Taking out the propane electric setup, moving the refrigerator forward, putting the new one in place, hopefully correctly. First time would be nice. And yeah, it's going to be a discovery learning project, but we'll take it one step at a time. So if you're watching this video, it means at the end of the day it probably worked, because if it didn't work, I probably wouldn't post this video. But we're going to give it a try. They say it can be done in like 8 hours, somebody that kind of, or even less. I guess JC Refrigeration, they do so many and they're set up for it. They got all the tools and they can do it. I think they said 3 hours. But I'm thinking a couple of day project, maybe one day to demo out the old one, get it set, and then maybe a second day to get the new one in and make whatever modifications we have to make to the cabinet and all that. So, but for now, while we're waiting for that, I got the new one ready to go, sitting here on my dolly, and it's strapped to it, so it's sitting upright like it's supposed to be. It can't be leaning forward or it can't be upside down. I'll lose all the refrigerant, will move to the wrong spot. So they tell you to make sure you keep it in one of just 2 positions. So we'll follow the instructions very carefully, and they say if we have a problem, we can give them a call and they'll help us out. So we'll give it a shot. Okay, one of the first steps we had to do is make sure we shut off the propane. All right, I heard the solenoid switch over. Just to be safe, I had started the stove. We'll see if that has turned itself off. And it has. So, yep, no gas coming out. I can't hear anything. So it was burning and now it's stopped. So, propane's off. Safety first. I took the doors off. The instruction didn't require it, but watched a few other videos and there's pros and cons. Of course, the challenge is getting the doors right back on and aligned correctly at the end, so I might have made more work for myself. But I thought it'd be better to get handholds and maybe lighten the load a little bit. Now I did leave the center bracket, the controller, or the display panel, this bracket. I'm not really worried about damaging anything. The floor's tile, I'm going to put a lot of blankets down. These 2 will protect this, even though I don't think we're using this anymore. I think this is just decorative at this point. But if nothing else, I figured it'd lighten the load and make it easier for me, and if I can get a helper to help me get this out of here and lay it on its side. So, according to the instructions, the next thing is to go on outside and disconnect the 12 volt and the gas lines. So we'll go do that next. According to our directions, it says locate the left side of your refrigerator and take the main 12 volt wires loose. We have the 1200 model, so we're looking for this wire and this wire, positive and negative. They're not the same colors in here. This one is blue, but it's definitely going to the 12 volt, so I can get in there, grab the blade connector and get it out. And I think the reason is, you can see it in here, but they've done the retrofit with the thermal sensor. It was a recall. These things have a habit of catching on fire, and they made this safety feature. So this is a little relay of some type that if there's a dangerous situation, it would cut off everything. But that's where our 12 volt was coming from. So the 12 volt in is this red one right here. So I think we can go ahead and safely pull that one as well. And there's the ground up there. So this thing is just snapped on there. We can pull that off. That's our 12 volt right here. And those are our grounds. We'll take both the ground off of here. And we'll take the ground that it shows in the picture, which is down into the front. So this is the ground, which is also marked on the board too, so that's helpful. So now we got both of the grounds. Now I'm going to go ahead and tape them together and label them so I remember what they are before I forget. I label everything. Take pictures too. Next thing our directions say is to unplug our ice maker from the coach. And if we have an ice maker, unplug your 120 volt plug from your RV location very close coach. If you have an ice maker, unplug its cord. So we already unplugged both of those. Making sure the water pump is turned off, which it is. Unscrew the water line, supply line from the solenoid. There's the solenoid. There's the water supply line. We can unthread that. Complete. Okay, after you do that, the next step is using 2 wrenches, remove the LP line off the solenoid valve, which is here, and make sure the propane is off, which we did earlier. We made sure that was off. And just to be safe, I watched a few videos. People were having trouble with this coming off, and so I hit it with some WD-40 last night before I went to bed, and I let it soak overnight. It should come off. I have a adjustable wrench to go over the solenoid, and this is a 13/16 for the supply line of the propane, and it's threading right off. Very good. We can do that with our fingers. Yep. All right, now we can pull that off. Okay, so should be able to bend this out of the way and bring it up this way for now. There we go, propane disconnected. Okay, it says turn the gas plug. We need to get a gas plug out of the box. Came with the kit. Put it in the gas line and tighten with your wrenches. So we'll do that next. Got their little plug that came with the kit. And we're going to thread that right on in here to plug off the propane line. And so the propane line itself is 13/16. Cap is a 5/8. Put those together. Give it a good tightening. And a little extra muscle to hold it in there. You don't want any gas leaks. We'll test that later when we turn the gas on. We'll spray some soapy water on there to make sure it has in fact sealed up nice and isn't leaking. Okay, propane done. All right, the next step says there's a lot of styles out there, but most have 2 mounting screws through the back plate holding the fridge to the RV floor. Remove these screws or bolts. It says Winnebago has a lot more. We're not a Winnebago, so we don't have to worry about that. And there are 2 little screws right here on the base plate. It goes into the plywood floor. Of course, it's a 22-year-old rig, so the plywood's a little bit, it's still there, but it's not as tight as it was when it was new, of course. These aren't big screws, but apparently all this really does is kind of help keep the unit from sliding forward. It won't keep it from tipping over, from what I'm hearing, and I can see that. It's just a small middle plate. There are 2 screws that go right through the base plate and into the wood. And we have removed those now. 1 and 2. Well, with the doors off now, we'll be able to get the trim out. We should find screws behind the trim. Before we do that, though, I'll just show you a couple little things. One is I brought the blankets in that we're going to lay on the floor once we get the refrigerator out to lay it face down. The other thing I've learned after working on RVs a little bit is I always tape over the vents in the floor, the heater vents, because if you've ever dropped a screw and have it bounce around, guess where it's going to go? Right to one of those. So I cover that. I put a little tape under where the slide is. They seem to find their way to where the slide goes. But any place where screws can go hide if you bounce one off the floor, or nuts and that type of thing. So anyhow, we'll go ahead and start working on getting the trim off the side of the refrigerator, find the bolts or the screws that hold it against the wall, and take those out as well. Right, with the To trim off, we got 3 screws on top and 3 screws on the bottom to remove. We need to take all 6 of those out so that we can slide it out. With the exterior mounting screws out, now it says we need to remove the screws from the back of the freezer. There's 8 of them. And then the ones that are between the fins. I see 2, 4, 6, 7 of those. So using our impact socket, we'll start taking those out. So with the screws all out, I could get the top to rock, but the bottom was kind of stuck. So I took my come-along bar, my crowbar, and with some rags and a back brace so I don't damage the wood, was able to get in here and kind of claw it and work it out a little bit. Start sliding it towards me. Now I can kind of start walking it out a little at a time, half an inch at a time, getting it towards the end of the box. And I'll need to go get a helper to help me set it on the ground. So I'll get it out a little further. And I'll put some blankets on the floor underneath of it, and I'll go see if I can find a neighbor friend to help me get it out there and set it on the ground. Well, while I was waiting for a neighbor, I got looking, thinking we may have run into our first obstacle to kind of overcome. Let's see if I can get over here to show you. We don't have a lot of room to work with before we hit this wall, and I don't think it's going to tip forward very much, but it's certainly going to hit this light fixture where my finger is there before we get out. Probably have to come out to about this distance before we can bring it down to the floor. So I think I'll have to take this light fixture off. There. Another obstacle. The next obstacle I decided to try to tackle while I wait for a friend to help me work on the back of the refrigerator was to figure out how to run the new 12-volt wire. This 12-volt wire that was on the old fridge is simply not going to be heavy enough. So I've ordered the 10 gauge, I think it's 10 gauge, might be 12 gauge, but a heavier gauge wire, yep, 10 gauge wire with a fuse to go from these batteries up to the refrigerator. So I think the route I've figured out I'm going to use is using the old water line route. This fed the ice maker. It comes down underneath where the furnace is, and I'll go inside and show you where that comes out. And I can trace it to underneath of my entertainment center, which is in the bathroom under the bathroom sink. And I can follow a chase that runs through the bathroom and into the bedroom where the hot water heater is under that vanity. And I can see the water line still running through. And then the water lines continue to run through a chase under the dresser drawers in the bedroom to the washing machine that's in the back of the RV. So I've got a water line that runs all the way through, and then one branches off and comes up to where the ice maker was. So following that line to bring me right over top of the battery box. So from there, I took some measurements from the window above to bring me down near the center of the roof. I drilled through the plywood floor and made a hole that brings me right up inside the RV. So I've just begun feeding the wire up through the hole here. And I'll show you inside where it's coming out. So this is back in the bedroom. There's the washer dryer. That's looking out the window. The battery box is right beneath us here. So measuring in, I was able to drill down right into the battery box. So I'm now feeding the wire up through that hole that I just drilled from the battery box down here. And I'll be following these water lines right back through chase that goes under the sink here in the bathroom where the hot water is. The water lines go right through and they continue on into the bathroom and they run through this chase that's on the floor. And then there's my entertainment system outside. Took this panel off to follow again the water lines running down in this hole down here. It's dark, you probably can't see, but anyway, the water lines follow right along the floor there. They go to the underside of where the furnace is under the refrigerator. And here's the water lines here that would feed the ice maker. So I'll be able to follow that right on through, hopefully right on up. And that's where my new 12 volt line will come in to feed the conversion kit. Getting ready to start day 2 of the project. We'll begin by removing the old backside of the refrigerator and cleaning it up, and also be cleaning up some of the spots that'll be going into, since they haven't been touched in 20 years. We'll clean them up and get it ready for the new unit. Alright, we got the old unit off. I said I'm going to stand it back up and go ahead and take the ice maker off now while I can. Then we're going to turn it back down on its face again and clean the back really good. Get all the old thermomastic off. Let's see. Come on. Need all those wires. That's ice maker wires. Go away. Ice maker out. Not pretty what's in there either. A lot of calcium, hard minerals. I don't know when this was used last, but it's been a while. Next step in here says to insert the controller into the fridge box through the fins. Lift the left side, insert the controller equipped with the shelf for now, so it doesn't get damaged, and leave enough wire so it can reach to the right of the fin. Check to make sure we have enough wire to reach the compressor. So here's the new controller box. Get around to what would be the left side fin if we were looking from inside. This is to simply insert it. Stand it back up, we'll clip it to a shelf so that it doesn't get damaged, it says. So that's page 27. So my first step is I've got to get this mastic on there. And once it's on there, then we will pick it up. And what I'll probably do is I'll have you probably stay at this end. Okay. I'm going to take the bottom end over here and lay it kind of in this spot right here. Perfect. For this. Okay, so that's the whole tube. I have this set up, not you need it. Thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna just throw it. So I think that should be good to. Dave, you're getting the bottom, you said? Yeah, so I'm gonna take this in and I'll bring it towards me. We'll drop your end. I know it's weird, we'll drop your end towards you a little bit. There you go. Okay. And we'll, yep, we're gonna come all the way this way. We can kind of set it here for a minute while Karen starts threading that tube in. Going to go face down and we'll kind of hover it right over it. Okay. And then we're going to, yeah, you got it? Yep. Oh, I missed. How's that? Good. And as we're lowering it down, you kind of keep it straight. Okay, and we're going to fit it right into that box there, right into that square, best we can. Yeah, could you make it go loose? That it's not going to come loose. That's okay. Right? Oh wait, it's pinching a little bit. The last thing, actually, after everything's in. So put one in there, I think. It would be nice if those holes were already in line. This is the part. One at the top and one at the bottom, huh? Sure the microphone's on. What we're trying to do now that we have it standing upright, is see if we can get the holes that go through to the cooling unit to line up with the holes that are in the back of the refrigerator. Hole there. I can see them and they're at a very slight angle, but if I can put a few in, we might be able to start jiggling. Okay, so we've just laid the fridge down after we've put the bolts in that holds the cooling unit towards the freezer, towards the refrigerator. Now the next step, they say, is very important that we use this window door and window foam that they, Suda foam they supplied with us, and is to make a bead all the way around. All four sides are shown. Make sure to seal all cracks and gaps. And even if we have to, we can lift the frame if we need to get in there to that. So, okay, that stuff comes out quick. Okay, we're up to page 39. Now that we've got the cooling unit installed and we've got it all sealed up, it's time to do the wiring. So we'll follow those instructions. All right, I think we're at the final stages here. We've got it all reassembled, wired, everything's ready in the cabinet to put in if we just get there. Had to bring in some extra muscle. Good friend of mine, Mike Helton, and Mike's going to help us lift it, slide it in there, and then hopefully we'll hook up the electricity and she'll be running. I just plugged in and it just fired right up, so that's a good sign. And my fingers crossed, like maybe one of the wires wasn't crimped right, or I got them switched up, but everything seems to be working. So I still have to put the doors back on and let it cool down, but fired up. It's on its way to 37 in the refrigerator and 0 in the freezer. And I'll shut it off now and then go turn the put the doors on, and then we'll turn it on for good. A little nerve-wracking. So there you go. Well, I guess this wraps up the video since we've got the job done. I thought I'd just give you a couple of observations or comments. So it's been about 5 hours since I completed the job. It's a hot summer day in Florida, about 90 degrees. The sun's been beating on the side of the RV that has the refrigerator on it. Fired right up right away. The compressors, it cooled down almost immediately. And I think we were food safe for the refrigerator in about 3 hours. And that was me going in and out the doors quite a bit of times, working on the racks and stuff too, so in fairness. And now, like I said, it's about 5 hours or so since we've completed, and you can see we're down to 1 degree in the freezer and 40 in the refrigerator. I've seen it fluctuate to 35 initially and then backed up to 40 where it's set at. And I think 0, I've seen it 0 to 3 on the freezer. Right now it's hovering at 1. That's on the thermometer that we've ordered when we got our JC Whitney, JC Refrigeration. That's old school. Yeah, JC Refrigeration. Went ahead and ordered the wiring harness to go from the battery, the upgraded 10 gauge. And I ordered their thermostat too, which is kind of neat. There's 2 sensors that you just put in the refrigerator somewhere, one in the refrigerator, one in the freezer. But you get the actual controller, you know, that tells you the temperatures. So this controller says inside it's 0.6 degrees in the freezer and 39.7 in the refrigerator, at least in that particular spot. So yeah, that's how it came out. That's the motion detector light that comes on, lights the refrigerator nicely. And yeah, it was a nice install. And then yeah, the freezer's cooling down. Well, here's the little sensor for that freezer, and there's the thermometer sensor. I'll find a better place to put that more permanently, I think, so that it gets a good even temperature. But all in all, it was a good install. I was working on it for, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours, which is about what everyone else was saying was their average. I did over 3 days, but I had to wait for helpers to come. And again, I'm glad I waited for them. It's been tough to manage all by myself. So especially the 4-door model. I don't know, maybe the single door you could get away with it, but it's just so bulky. It's just hard to get your arm around it, and there is the weight and just not a lot of room to work with. But yeah, JC Refrigeration, if you need to replace your refrigerator, I would certainly consider, if the box is good, looking at one of their conversion kits and getting some more life out of your existing refrigerator. So hope the video was helpful. Retirees at play or retirees at work, I don't know, but it is play. So again, hope the video helped.